What do we do with our gardens and our backyard when the season changes and everything looks like it's dying? In Feng Shui, we're given the tips and tools to know what to do with our garden throughout the year so it doesn't look so desolate when we get into autumn and winter. So today, we're going to unpack some great tips on what to do with your garden to make it look like something so inviting, even in the harshest of weather. So welcome, my name is Lydia. This is the Feng Shui Bazi Chinese Astrology channel. And on this channel, I often read the charts of famous people to better understand our own lives and our own charts. So if this sparks interest for you, please subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss a single video. I welcome you to this community. So happy to be with you today and taking a sweet needed break. I think all of us are feeling as I'm filming this, the heaviness and the tension as we build towards the election here in the United States. And taking a breath, right? And just offering up a fresher topic, something to distract us from the news. So welcome again. So in autumn, the grass goes to seed, all the flowers have browned and their little faces turn towards the earth. And the trees drop their leaves, and everything starts to become a little more bare. And often we're out there just picking up the fallen sticks from the branches that break. We're out maybe raking leaves. But there's so much more to be done. And I can share with you that I have now been in my country home for 2 years. And what I do in the autumn and winter are all those preparatory projects, getting ready always for the next spring-summer cycle. So autumn is a time of turning things over, of, yes, raking and clearing out the flower beds of the things that are not perennials and aren't going to come up again next year. And it's pulling out the leaves and the debris and all of that to give it all a fresh look. That being said, let me say, please do not rake all of the leaves. The leaves are there to nourish your lawn. The leaves are also there to provide creatures like squirrels bedding to make their nests. And leaves are not meant to go into plastic bags set on the curb to go out to a landfill. I find it so bizarre that we throw out nature. We put it in a bag and throw it out is very strange to me. And don't even get me started with leaf blowers and the noise pollution that can create. It's one of the reasons I wound up out here in nature. So the leaves drop and I actually go around, rake them up. Some of them I rake up to use as bedding in my garden to protect the earth and to provide that nourishment as it decomposes and becomes earth again. So there are cycles, and I think it's important to also recognize the cycles that we move through, right? So I have written this as a blog on the Kharma Khameleon website, and I will put that down for you to check it out so that you can see. So one thing you're going to want to know is what direction does your front yard face and which direction does your backyard face. And you do that by having your back to the house, looking into your yard, holding your phone with the compass app open and divining that by holding it steady straight in front of you, making sure that all jewelry is off as that throws the magnetic pulse off. And then once you have that direction, working with the elements to ensure that the design is in harmony. As we want it to be in our home, we also want it to be in our yard. Okay, so anyone that has had a consultation with me knows that I always say, take the Ba-Gua of your home and radiate it out into the yard, because the yard needs to also be treated according to the 5 elements and the directions that are associated with those elements, okay? So I'm going to go through now the directions, and I've kind of bunched them together to make this an easy video for you. So we're going to go through the 5 elements, and I will give you specific design ideas, okay? So if your yard faces north-northeast or north-northwest or northwest-west, okay? Most yards, unless it's very small, occupies usually 2 directions. And, you know, it's your facing direction can take up the biggest part, but inevitably there is one other direction that is also needs to be taken into consideration. And so for the front yard, or for a yard that is facing one of those elements that is water or metal, we're going to look at furnishings that are metal, wrought iron, for instance, and also furniture that is painted gray, black, white, or a dark navy blue, okay? You could have light blue as well. And then the shape is arced, circular, and round. And the north, being water, is undulating. So we can think of things like flags or streamers or banners that you might have out. The colors are all those beautiful shades of blue, deep navy blue or a light blue, cerulean blue, and then the colors of metal, which is gray, white, and black. You can also say a deep, deep purple, like eggplant. Now, flowers that you can plant here are rosemary, peppermint, lemon balm, lemon trees, if you're someplace in the south, cornflower, jasmine, mums. In the Northeast specific, pine trees, and anything in that pine family. The North, I dare to say bamboo, because I have been battling bamboo on my property. It is an invasive plant here where I am in Virginia, and I do not recommend ever, ever, ever putting that stuff in the ground. The root system is evil. It's about as evil as monkey grass. Let's see. In the north, daffodils, honeysuckle, and chamomile. The walkway is undulating, curved, and round. You can also have bird baths or bird feeders in these directions. And if you're thinking of putting like any sculptures or designs out there, things you can think of for the west are roosters or chickens. And the northwest are dogs. The northeast is cows. The north are mice and rats. Yikes. I was like, oh my God, nobody is going to say, like, for instance, my house faces north. And I'm thinking, never in my wildest dreams will I have a rat or a mouse out there, unless it's like a Ganesha Hindu god statue, because we all know, or maybe you don't, that the Hindu god Ganesha rode on a mouse. That's about the only thing I could think of in relation to design where I would bring in a mouse. Okay, so as we're coming around our directions, west, southwest needs to be treated a little bit differently. Here again, we still are using metal furnishings like wrought iron and furnitures that are painted black, white, or gray. And the shape is still round or arced, but we can also bring in the square shape, which is earth of southwest. The colors are all of those wonderful southwest tones like terracotta and peach, ochre, cinnamon and brown and tan, yellow, gray, black, and white. Flowers for southwest and west, I would think of anything that blooms yellow or white, sunflowers, yellow or rust-colored mums, yellow oleander, my personal favorite, yarrow, goldenrod, and daffodils. I love yarrow. Yarrow and goldenrod come up every year. They're also medicinal plants. That's another fun thing I've gotten into this year is foraging. Made some honeysuckle, or not honeysuckle, I made dandelion jelly, delicious. The material can be terracotta pots, ceramic, slate, stone, pebbles, rocks, metal sculptures, metal jungle gym for the kids, and a walkway that is curved. The west, again, is roosters and chickens, and the southwest are sheep and monkeys, in case you wanted to put a monkey in your front yard. That would be fun. Then we come around, we're getting into the heat of a really sunny, beautiful yard that's facing south-southwest, or just south, because the south can take up a big space, right? And this is the design and furnishings we're looking at here are stone, brick, rock, furniture that's painted red or yellow or brown. So again, we've moved away from the metal here. So if I haven't mentioned an element or a color, do not introduce it. This is where conflict arises in our lives. For instance, if we had red in one of those Western directions, there's a major, major issue. You don't want to welcome in conflict in your life, right? No. So the shape here is spiked. It is triangular and square. That being said, like for instance, if your walkway is angled, make sure there are no sharp angles pointed at the house. That's called a poison arrow. And again, that is going to impact that direction and the people and the what that direction represents, whether it's an arrow being shot at your marriage, shot at your career, your finances, your family, etc. So we always want to watch where those angles are, even in our yard. So let's see, we've got flowers. I mean, this is like such a wonderful direction. This is my backyard. And this is like all those fun colors of yellow and pink and red, violet, sunflowers, again, yellow or rust-colored mums, yellow oleander, yarrow, goldenrod, daffodils, roses, begonia, red pepper, red clover, that's another medicinal plant, or an orange tree if you live somewhere tropical. Terracotta pots, ceramic, slate, rocks, stones, and stone sculptures. And the south is horses. The southwest is sheep and monkeys. But if we have a jungle gym here for the kiddos, make it wood, not metal, for sure. All right, so this is the last direction. And then I'm going to talk to you about the seasons in our own lives, because I think that that's an important thing to recognize, especially this time of year. A yard facing southeast, south, or east, southeast, elements of fire and wood. The design, furnishings, and colors are wood. It can also be furniture that's painted red or green. The shapes are striped, rectangular, floral in design, leaf designs. Colors are all the shades of green. Did you know that humans see the color green, more spectrum colors of green than any other color? Watermelon, red, burgundy, rose, bright, fun patterns. This is also the direction where things like a fire pit, a fire, anything fire related is welcome. And that's also true of the southwest south or south, anything that's in that realm from the southwest all the way around to the east. is a good place for a fire pit or a grill, barbecuing, things like that. So here we've got the shape. Okay, we did the colors. We're going to do flowers, all those fabulous colors, right? Of pink and red and rose and violet. And orchids, irises, roses, begonias, all the bright, fun colors. I could also think snapdragons. Yeah, I mean, there's so many flowers. This really is the direction for a garden. It is the wood. It's wood and fire. It is the garden. So if you happen to have a yard that offers this direction for you, please plant yourself a beautiful garden. And a vegetable garden, you can have those all year round, many places. So the walkway, again, would be angled, because again, we're dealing with the shape that is an angled shape of a rectangle, but we want to make sure that there are no sharp points coming at the house. The south, again, is horses. The southeast is snakes. Don't know anybody that wants a snake in their yard. Or dragons. Ooh, I like that. So the southeast, you could have a dragon. And I would also bring into the southeast any other fantastical creatures, like a fairy garden, for all my kid friends out there. And the east is rabbits. Love it, love it, love it. So I wanted to just speak about the experience of our own gardens. And if you have a question, if you have a comment, I welcome that. Again, I always say, please be respectful and kind in your comments. And I welcome your questions. I also do virtual Feng Shui consultations. And your virtual consultation comes with two, basically Bazi Astrology readings for you as the occupant of the home. And this time of year, bundled with that, so you get a consultation, you get a complimentary Bazi Astrology reading, and a New Year update for 2025, specific all to you, with forecasts for each month of 2025. It is the best time, I always say, to get your home feng shuied going into a new year. So, all that being said, let's jump in. So one of the things I wanted to talk about after we've talked about the garden, there is the external garden, there is the internal garden. And this is something that I have learned about dearly in the last year. Because last year, I'll throw out this question. Have you ever felt out of sync with what's going on around you? For instance, here's an example. Let's say your friends and what's going on at work all feels very vibrant and active, and everybody is busy and on the go. But inside of you, you feel sad. You feel quiet. You want to stay home. You want to rest. Maybe you're grieving, right? And in those moments, we feel really out of sync because everybody else is asking us to be all these things that we just don't want to be right now. And I'm here to tell you that is okay. Because last year in August, I came home to go into a winter. From 2020 all the way through the summer of 2023, I was in the autumn, an autumn of my life, a time of letting go. And I experienced a lot of death, as many of us did in that time period. And I let go of a massive career, a big business that I had. And as I was letting it all matter and decay, which was what was happening all around me, no matter what I tried to do, I came home to winter. And so I want to just share this with you, that for each of us, the spring of our youth, or the spring of morning, or the spring of a new chapter beginning in our lives, right? Spring is when we have the most energy. Everything seems possible. You're ready to launch something. You're ready to begin something. It's like falling in love, right? The spring of a romance. And it's when you first start to see the things that you have said, yeah, I want to start this and I want to start that, starting to pop up with little spring buds. And you're like, whoa, things are starting to happen. And there's a lot of anticipation and excitement in that energy. And then we experience summers. That's the prime of our lives. It's the abundance of our work, our family life, and our lives. Everything feels like it's in full bloom, and we are fully engaged. We're being asked to do a lot and be a lot, and that's okay because we're ready to show up to do it all. Then comes the autumn of decline when we're middle-aged. When we see a project coming to completion, or a career coming to completion, or a life coming to completion, right? And then is when we feel like we're being paid for our work, right? So we've done the job, we've sent out the invoice, now we get paid. Yay, right? Or we can and freeze the summer harvest in anticipation of winter. It is the paycheck at the end of hard toil. It is the rewards that we receive in boundless ways of all we have toiled with and for. It is such a beautiful time of year. So this is where we are in the Northern Hemisphere, is this time of autumn, this time of allowing things to matter, to decay, and to recognize the work that we have done and to celebrate the harvest. Then comes winter. And we go within, we go indoors, we rest, we nourish, warm tea, hot bowl of soup, oatmeal in the morning, all of these things. And it is time for self-care and self-nurture as we rest and build our strength for the next spring. The beauty of winter is the stillness and silence that opens up inspiration, new ideas, creates a blank canvas, and allows for us to wonder, to dream, and to set the seeds in order for the spring to come, when the ground is fertile again. So read the room. What is happening in your life? And this is another little interesting thing. If you want to know what is going to happen next for you, recognize the season you're in. For instance, I will say, because you know I'm open, I'm very honest. I've always been an open book. I tell it like it is. I'm very authentic. And for me, when I went home last year in August, I was entering into winter when everyone else was going into autumn. I had already been experiencing autumn for years. And there are layers, right, to all of these seasons. It's not to say that I wasn't also at the same time in other seasons at times during those years. But the overarching season was definitely in autumn. I was maybe more than multiple seasons happening at once. I think what sometimes happens is as things start to fall apart and decay, whether that's a relationship, a career, or ourselves, or our loved ones, is that we want it to be something that it isn't. I wanted it to be summer again. That time of my life when my career with working with kids in schools as a mindfulness yoga instructor was like the bloom of my life, the garden in full bloom. And then everything changed because life can happen like that. And I had to take a deep breath and recognize I could not resuscitate all that I did because it wasn't there to resuscitate anymore. And that, my friends, is the bitter medicine that comes when you finally go out and realize nothing is growing anymore. And it's time to say, it's over. The growing season's over. You've harvested. Sit. And that's what I did. I went into a deep winter and I rested. I restored. The interesting thing about when you winter, and I did that for about 6 weeks, I dropped everything. I stopped everything. And in that time, I reflected. That's what winter's for. Winterings, and that's what I do actually here at my home, Open Sky. I offer women's retreats that are wintering because we need that. Sometimes we need a weekend to winter, to make everything stop and be still so that we can rejuvenate ourselves, so that we can go back to the season that our life is. Maybe you've been in a beautiful summer, but you are burned out from all the big, vibrant, big doing and being and everything. And your life says, I gotta stop. I gotta take a pause. And we can have that happen. You can have a snowstorm in the middle of the summer, but that's what I was gonna say. So last October, when I started to really get into doing this channel full time, when I started to build these retreats full time and work from home, I was like, everything started to take off and I was like, awesome, this is gonna work. This is gonna happen. I'm in spring when everybody else was going into the season of winter, or it was winter outside of me, outside my house. I'm looking outside, it's cold, it's winter. But in me, it was a spring. Things were starting to happen. I was so excited. And then actual spring came and I got thrown back in a winter, which is a reminder that when we enter spring, sometimes it snows in April, right? And so it was a reminder, a humble reminder that spring is not summer. Spring is a slow, beautiful process of allowing the plants, the things that you have planted, to slowly grow on their own. It is still a time of pausing, resting, restoring, self-care as you're tending gently, lovingly to all the new things in your life. Because you need the energy that you gain from all the rest that you have in spring and winter, so that when summer comes, you're energized, you have fresh creativity and inspiration and energy to put into that work that is now there for you. I hope that this reading has been interesting and inspiring for you. I'm hoping that now you're going to be like, yeah, I'm ready to make that autumn garden, because there are lots of things that do grow in the winter and in the autumn. And check out for your area what things you can plant and things that you can do to ensure that your home and garden look neat and tidy and welcoming all year round. For sure. Thank you again. I so appreciate you. And until next time, friends, be well.